there, Taurus. Welcome to your March 2022 General Tarot reading. It's Raina here. Well, I know what that's all about. You might too, if you know anything about what's going on astrologically. Okay. We've got the King of Wands and the Queen of Cups. That's like the alpha male and the, what's the feminine version of the girly girl? Feminine version. Alpha male and girly girl. The heart of the matter is the Tower card. This is the card that everybody always is all abuzz about. Oh my gosh, what's the Tower moment? And it's almost like there's a tidal wave if you look at the bottom of the Tower, kind of threatening to swallow up the Tower. And the lightning strikes. The lightning strikes are, indicative of some sudden thing. But what people don't understand too is that the lightning strikes can be that, if you've ever been in a storm and there's like one really loud boom, and I'm afraid of lightning and thunder. Oh my God. And when it sometimes there's like this sonic boom and then everything is quiet and it's like, that's the end of the storm. It's not always like that, but it can be. And it's like because all of the pressure, all of the tension has been released and then the storm, the front has passed. That's the Tower can be this pent up energy that has nowhere to go. There has to be that catalyst through some strong event to shake people out of their doldrums or their inertia and get them to change. Well, what kind of astrological event is that akin to? The eclipses. And the eclipses are in Taurus and in the opposite sign of Scorpio. So even though March is not a month of eclipses, you can include that in eclipse season because it can be felt before the actual date. And the Taurus eclipse is at the end of April 30th. So there might be something from, I don't know, I'm just pulling this out of the air, like mid-March, where you have something happening in your life that is major, that you can't deny, and you're forced to change. Now, if you are open to it and you're not resisting it, then it's not being forced. It's like, oh, thank God I have this opportunity. And remember too that Uranus is in your sign, so this adds to the lightning. I think Uranus is actually described as lightning because Uranus rules Aquarius, and there's electricity is associated with it, or the nervous system. So this idea of being more open to change, open to, accepting of sudden events occurring can be what sparks all of this, pardon the pun. In the past position, we have the Eight of Wands, and this is a card of fast-paced, fast-moving events. Sometimes the Tower can be love at first sight. And because the King of Wands is also there, it might be with a fire sign. The fire sign that you tend to gravitate towards, Taurus, is Leo, because you're both fixed signs. The other fire signs are Sag, and which I am, but I'm not advertising. I'm not on the market. And Aries. So those are the three fire signs, and it might be something where you just get hit with a ton of bricks, obviously not literally, figuratively, and you know, or if you're already in a relationship, you know that that is not the end all be all, that there's like this other thing happening that has taken you by storm. The higher message is the King of Wands. This is being the captain of your own ship. So please, you know, in the next year and a half or so, when you have these eclipses, Taurus, don't become more controlling, because you're a fixed sign. You know, change isn't easy for you to tolerate. And sometimes when a fixed sign is under the gun in that way, and this also applies to Scorpios and Aquarians and Leos, and if you have inner planets in, for instance, you know, you might have the moon in Scorpio or the moon in Aquarius, whatever, or inner planets in Taurus or what have you, maybe even Aquarius, you can have this sense of wanting to micromanage things because you don't want one surprise after the other in your life. And the danger of that can be that you end up doing something that keeps you from accepting growth in your life, because that's really ultimately what these eclipses are all about, to shake you out of that complacency and out of those routines and put you in this receptive state for change coming into your life and you being okay with that change. And the King of Wands is the ultimate in self-empowerment. It's like the King of Wands is like, no matter what happens, the King of Wands is going to continue to pursue his goals. He's going to continue to steer his ship. It's kind of like, I was thinking, that's probably a bad analogy. Like I was thinking of the captain of the Titanic. I don't know. I was thinking of, you know, I don't know where I was watching something where they were talking about how difficult it is to steer a boat or something. And they were saying, like, you know, you have to always be aware of these, I don't know about icebergs, but things that are submerged. I don't know. I expose myself to so many videos and all these kinds of things where I don't even know which end is up. So that's the best I can do with that analogy. What crosses you is the Three of Pentacles. And I think, you know, since this is the Architect's card and this is all about those firm foundations, with the Eight of Wands, if something came, like, you know, this is true, I think, of everybody right now, is it's kind of like in the last 2 years, we're coming up on the 2-year anniversary of the shutdown. And there have been periods of time when a lot of people were not doing much of anything because they couldn't, even if they wanted to. And then there were periods of time when things opened up and then they shut down again. And so it's kind of like stop and start. And it can feel like pent up energy. It's interesting that the Tower definitely represents that, but so does the Eight of Wands. It's like potential energy that if somebody has been not able to do something and then suddenly it's like the door opens and the person rushes outside because they've been pent up so long. You wouldn't normally rush out. You wouldn't normally do things hastily if you have the opportunity to do them all the time. It's when you've been deprived of that you tend to get more feisty about it. So with the Three of Pentacles, especially for those Taurians who have inner planets in Aries, the Moon, Venus, and Mars, even the, I'm saying Aquarius, even Mercury Aries, you can tend to have those thoughts that are, sense of urgency, which can manifest as impatience to make things happen or to do certain things. It can be too hasty, too rash, and then you're back to square one. So realizing that if you are in a new phase where you have more freedom or you have more options, that you don't have to just run around like a crazy person. You can actually be glad that you have this opportunity. And it's like the King of Wands, which is the self-actualization, that you are always engaged in self-improvement. It's not just when your life is falling apart. It's all the time. And it's like, it's coming from this deliberate, grounded place. So I'm thinking of that grounding. And you may feel ungrounded right now for multiple reasons. And so you have to find that mooring to get you back on track. What's coming in is the Eight of Cups. This is walking away from something that emotionally is not fulfilling. And this does not have to be a relationship. This can be a job that feels very like non-spiritual, like you're just mailing it in. You don't have like a passion for it. You don't feel like you're necessarily helping others. Maybe at one time you did and now you don't. Yeah, and the Tower could always be like losing your job and you never thought it would happen. But with the Eight of Wands, if it were something like that, I think it would be more systemic, where it's like it's like there's a lot of upheaval. It's a lot going on at once. So let's say the business was taken over by another business. Eight of Wands can be that those messages that are being sent out, almost like missiles. And there's a word that means letter that's missive. It sounds like missile. So the point is that it's very interesting because with the Tower, the person's like, oh my God, and they're clutching pearls. How could this have happened to me? And the Eight of Cups, maybe you're staying with the company, but you got demoted or something happened where you don't have the same status, the same position that you did before. But the Eight of Cups is like, it's time to go. And even you have your insult level, your ability to walk away from something. If you feel, especially if you feel like there's too many upheavals, like, especially like in the banking field. I don't know if that still happens as much. I don't hear about it on the news where one bank takes over another. That was pretty epidemic for a long time, wasn't it? If you remember, in the past 30 years, I mean, there were times, or 25 years or so, where it seemed very commonplace for one bank to overtake the other bank. And so if you work in that field, you may find that there's an instability. My partner actually was working in that field, not as a banker, but somebody who worked in a bank. And he ended up quitting because he didn't want to work for somebody else. And I think people were like, what are you doing? Are you crazy? Like, this is such a solid job. And not too long after he quit, the bank got taken over by another company. And to add insult to injury, those people who were working there, some for years, had to train the people that were taking over their jobs. So that had to be a slap in the face. And I think some of those people said you were right, you know, that he saw the writing on the wall or something. But I feel like this is not really about pragmatism or, you know, being practical about the issue. It's more about how it affects you emotionally and spiritually. And the outcome is the Queen of Cups. This is the card of the psychic. That's why I was saying we got the King and the Queen, but he's the alpha male. That's like very fiery energy, and she's a double water energy. So the male, the divine male and female, that could be the divine feminine and masculine. This is about tuning into your intuition. But I feel like with that Eight of Cups, that you're gravitating towards something of a more spiritual nature, Taurus. And that is really what is calling you at this time. That could involve like a spiritual profession or a creative profession, or maybe both in some cases. But you may be a little bit uncomfortable because you feel like you don't have solid ground. Well, the Queen of Cups is about being able to tune in so that you can definitely ground yourself, but you have to know that you are in a place where that isn't how you feel. And that means you have to tune into your feelings, and you have to become much more sensitive in that way. Taurus is an earth sign, so it's really operating within the five senses. And while that is natural for your sign, you know, you can always grow spiritually. And the first step is the awareness that you need to take those other things into consideration. Okay, Taurus, that's what I have for you. I hope that this resonated. If you would like a personal reading, the link is below. Take care. Bye.